Good evening, everybody. This is Dom Limited here again, and tonight's evening topic is going to be about customer service skills. A lot of people ask me. There was nothing on the forums this week, question-wise, but this is just kind of people are asking me advice on customer service skills. Well, personally, when you got customers coming, or if you're traveling on site to perform maintenance service or emergency service upgrades to equipment or fix somebody's computer or set of computers or domain controllers or networking or wireless or internet related. One thing that you got to keep in common with everybody is you got to have courtesy. That's a big, you got to know how to make a little small talk. Whatever you do, don't talk politics or religion. That's a big no no. You just kind of talk about the weather, try to figure out what they're interested in and try to relate with them. Because if you can relate with your customer and you can kind of make them feel at ease, you're more likely to get places with them than you are if you can't make them feel at ease. Now, it doesn't matter if you're on site or at your office or store or your place of business, wherever you're working. You gotta make them feel welcome. You gotta be able to just kind of put them at ease. Because if you can get them in a good mindset and get them in a good buying mood, because basically when you get customers that come in, one thing you want to do, I think I may have mentioned this in another video I did, you don't want to manipulate them into a sale. That's one thing that you don't want to put them in such a peer pressure that they get agitated and walk out and never come back. But then again, you don't want to be so soft and saying if you want to buy, you don't want to buy, that's okay. Which in some cases you kind of want to do it that way, but you don't want to stand in their way and corner them until they decide to buy something. That's not a good practice to do either. I've known people to, not in places of business so much, but like the yard sales and the estate sales, people literally, there was one I went to one time that I was literally cornered by this one person until I bought something. But you don't want to do that because the customer feels threatened and that kind of thing. So whatever you do, don't make them feel so uncomfortable that they want to run out of the store, flailing their arms in the air and screaming and hollering, or that they never come back. You want it so that they feel comfortable coming to you, and that when they come in, that they just feel at ease. And not everybody knows everything about everything, so when you're trying to explain stuff to them, try to explain it in terms that they can understand. But yet you want to sit down and show them. Sometimes you might have to repeat yourself 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay, like maybe like 50 times. But don't get impatient with them. Don't scream and holler at them or make them feel stupid for not knowing something. Because every customer has a right to come in and feel valued, and even though that you don't feel like making them feel good about themselves, but sometimes you have to use a little psychology and try to make them feel good about making a big expensive purchase like a computer or TV or any electronic device. And on top of that, you gotta, if they have any questions, don't make it so difficult for them that, and don't put them in the mindset thinking, I don't want to bother him. He'll get crabby at me. No matter how dumb the question is, answer it anyway and be as kind as you can, because some people are older and they don't know anything about any of the merchandise. But then again, there are some people out there that have no common sense, and when things don't work the way they want them to, sometimes they get a little little out of control with it, but that doesn't happen very often, so thank goodness for that. Another interesting thing about customer service is when you come to your place of business, always have a smile on your face. Don't have a fake smile. Try to be in a cheery mood. Don't be such a negative person because customers will catch on to that. You don't have to act so happy to the point where your teeth are starting to show grinning and stuff like that, but it's still unusual, but each their own, I guess. So basically what you want to do is you gotta make them at ease for one. Two, if you got any, if they're here working with you on something like it's kind of a stressful time, try to keep bottled water on hand or soda, or and just pleasantly ask the customer while they're waiting, would you like a refreshment? Or have like a cheap box of cookies or cheap box of donuts or some suck on candies. Not that you sit and consume it all yourself, but what you do, you have it available because they might. It's like when you go to Costco and you're trying all the free samples and or Sam's Club. Basically, you're kind of making that person feel special enough to, because they did a study on free samples and stuff, and people like free samples because they feel like they're kind of getting the value. It's hard to explain. I'm not a marketing expert. If you really want a better detailed video about that, I'd almost have to bring a marketing expert here, and I don't have any friends that are in marketing. The only thing close to that is auditing, but all they would be able to tell you about is numbers and finances and where money's supposed to be and what fashion and order. But well, I'm not here to talk about money or anything like that. Okay. So what? Getting back to customer service. Third thing you want to do is analyze how the customer acts and talks and their demeanors. And what I mean by that is there's another study I was reading up on the other day where if a customer's got a certain mindset, you try to think the way they would and try to reason the way they would and try to explain the things in terms that they'd understand. And that's another way of also putting them at ease and making them feel good while you're doing service with them or helping them. Even if it seems stupid and asinine to do that, but trust me, it works. You make anybody that comes through the door feel good about themselves, and it'll even put them in a bit better spending mood. And another thing that you want to do with a customer is when you get them in your store or office, or you just kind of point out if they're looking at something long enough, you just say, "I'd like a deal on that for you," and you just kind of try to talk them into it in such a way where you'd be like, "Would you like to know more about that, or if you don't buy it today, somebody else is going to buy it, and then you're going to miss out on such a great deal." Just try to kind of hype it up a bit, make it seem like it's the greatest deal in the world. But one thing I would not do is lower your price ridiculously low. Depends on what you have. And when you have merchandise in that, depending on how old, what it all does, what brand, what year, Well, that kind of applies to how old, but you gotta you gotta be very knowledgeable about what you're selling. If you don't know what you're selling, then you might as well get out of the business because people don't want people that are like, I don't know what I'm selling, but it's something cool, and yeah, you don't want to be like that. I'm not bashing anybody that does sales tactics like that, but it's not a very good thing to try. Because personally, what you preferably want to do is try to persuade them to buy something for sure, but you gotta you gotta know what you're selling. Now, if you go down to Walmart or something, they may not know much about anything, depending on which one you go to and how much they actually care. Some, I'll put it this way: there's some WalMarts I've been into where their people are very passionate about what they do, and they really go above and beyond what's expected of them. Well, sometimes even Best Buys I've been into, they don't know one iota from another. They're just kind of high school punks that sit there and be like, "Oh, I don't know." But you gotta. That's another important customer service skill is knowing what you're selling, answering whatever questions customer may have. And sometimes the customer may even want you to custom build something for them. But before you just start doing it, you got to do your research and you try to find the most cost effective solution for your customer. Even if you don't make a huge profit on it, it's customer is always right. That's one of the number one important factors of customer service. Because even though that they may be wrong, but they're always right. I know it doesn't make any sense, but it's one of the most important pieces of information that you can uh, use for dealing with. And on top of that, you got to keep up with the trend of what's popular. If you have something that's not selling in your shop, you have to basically just kind of keep a tab on what's popular. So if let's say a certain gaming computer, let's say the Intel Core i9 isn't that popular at the moment, and that the Ryzen Core 7, Core 5 is popular, you gotta keep what's hot in demand. Not everybody wants what's in demand. Some are looking for totally opposite stuff that your box stores aren't gonna have. And there's been some cases where people came in looking for some really exotic hardware that you're not gonna find in retail stores anyway. The only 20 some years, 20 to 25 years ago, when CompUSA used to be around or Circuit City, you might be able to find some of them oddball graphics cards like the Voodoo graphics card or the NVIDIA series or GeForce or okay, I don't think GeForce ever was, but I'd have to go online and look that up. But I would have to say one of my favorites at the moment is the ATI graphics cards. They've actually worked quite well, in my opinion. I have one in my Dell Optiplex, and I currently have at home. So basically, there's a lot of great options out there when it comes to specialty hardware. But some of your customers will also come in. They may not have any knowledge or any idea of what they want. So you kind of got to explain. You also got to do your homework constantly when it comes to dealing with them because they want to know information. And if you tell them you don't know, they're going to wind up walking out the door, and then you're going to lose a potential sale. So that's an important thing. Constantly study up on your materials. And keep in mind, not everybody wants home computers either. You might have special people that come in looking for business machines. They might be looking for servers, or you might have people from a school or a parochial school or a K-12 education coming to you for advice. So keep in mind, you might need to know some stuff about server stuff, about domain controllers. And another thing is, I think I said this in one of my previous live casts. Go to school, get your bachelor's degree, take some business courses. If you're going to go into computers, go into intro to IT, server administration, intro to networking, uh, help desk fundamentals, computer concepts. One of the really great resources out there for learning IT stuff is Test Out. No, Test Out does not pay me to tell you how great it is, but I've used Test Out in one of my local technical colleges that I attended. It's a great program, a lot of great resources on there. Another thing to keep up with the rapid change in technology is Microsoft Virtual TechNet. Basically, there's different scenarios on there that you can also use for teaching yourself like basic stuff on the client desktops like Windows 7, 10, 8.1. Some of it's on the server, like Server 2016 or Server 2012. I don't think 2019 is on there yet. It might be. I haven't been on there in quite a while. But I know they had 2008 stuff for a while. I believe that they're starting to eliminate some of that and just strictly keeping up with 2012 and 2016. But as far as I hope people out there are not using Server 2003 because that's basically obsolete. And Server 2008 is soon to be obsolete as of 2020. I mean, completely obsolete. No support from one iota to another. So you have to be able to keep up with the rapid changes in technology. And even the big topic is your customers might even ask about cloud computing. You got a couple different approaches. You got Google Chrome. That's a lot of people are curious about Chromebooks. And after helping out a parochial school, I've actually learned quite a bit about how they use Chromebooks. I always knew about Chromebooks, but not enough to be able to explain some of the really neat features about the fundamentals of the program. But it's hard to explain it in a manner where it sounds very professional. But I would have to say one of my favorite things about the Google Chrome and the G Suites that Google offers is the admin console. What's really nice is if you got users that you, for email, Google Drive, or any like your classroom suites, and even like for doing PowerPoints on there, Excel or Word, it's kind of spectacular. One nice thing is you don't actually have to have a physical server sitting on site to be able to make it happen. You have to have a web server for certain applications on, like for printing, or even though Google claims that they have cloud print, but not every school or parochial school has the kind of funds to buy the cloud certified printers. So a lot of them are still using their older worker printers. So you still have to have a printer to be able to accomplish the task of network printing. A lot of people don't think about that, but who knows? Maybe things will change eventually. But I know that a lot of the newer printers now some of those have cloud or Google Cloud capabilities. Some of them have AirPrint capabilities. It depends on what brand you buy. I know Hewlett Packard offers some of those functionality. I think Xerox does. I think Dell might. Canon. I don't know about Lexmark or Epson or Brother. But as far as printers go, do your homework, study up on what printer to buy because you don't want to buy just any old printer, because not every printer has wireless capabilities or network capabilities or anything like that. So do your research, read lots of reviews, watch a lot of YouTube videos, and you won't believe what you find on there about the topic of cloud computing. And as far as Microsoft goes, they have, let's see, I'm going to pull it up on the other machine. Oh, that's right, that one's in the middle of imaging. So it's called Microsoft Azure, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to actually sit down and use the program. But if it's anything like Office 365, then I think, well, actually with Azure, it's mainly like cloud domain, and so you can have like a domain controller on the cloud and just hook your computers up to a network. Except I wouldn't think you'd have to have an actual physical server sitting on site. Now, if you're using like Server 2012 or Server 2016 or 2019, you're still going to need the physical server sitting on site with your network and firewall and storage and SAN and a lot of other important hardware to back it up. So, with cloud computing is becoming the big thing, and a lot of customers might want to go that route. So, just keep in mind, always study up on both cloud computing and regular computing. There's some customers that like laptops. There's some that are gaga for tablet computers. I'm personally not a fan of tablet computers, but there's some people that are just gaga over it. I'm more traditionally like a desktop man, power user, as they call them. A power user hasn't been used, and that term hasn't been used like in over the last 15, 20 years. That was even XP, they used that protocol when it came to user rights on a system. Now, when it comes to like Windows 7 or Windows 8 or even Vista, I think that functionality went away. But even with the power user, you still didn't get the full-blown administrator rights. So that was more of a pre-Win 2000, like Windows 98, Windows 95, NT, and 2000 used that. So enough about that topic. We kind of got off tangent a little bit, but sometimes you gotta get into it a little deeper. So another thing that we need to think about customer wise is I don't think I covered this, but you gotta get to know your customers very well. Not that you pry into their personal life and try to learn things about their past or don't do that. But when they come in, try to remember their names. Just kind of ask them how their week is going, or how their weekend was, or how their day is going, or morning, or afternoon, or evening, or whenever. And if they're down in the dumps, you just kind of ask them, "Why are you down in the dumps?" And don't offer to buy them a drink or anything, but just kind of try to make them feel good about themselves, even if you don't want to. Because the happier you can make a customer, the more successful you are in the business. Now, obviously, you're not going to be making a lot of money on sales of used computers or television sets or miscellaneous. You'll make some money on it, but your bread and butter is going to be service calls, especially if you're on a working $65, $75 an hour. You'll make, and if you can stay in a job site all day, so if you can get 8 hours in, you and that was your only job for the day, then you would make out all right for the day. But if you can get multiple jobs in a day, like you get 34 service calls in a day, and they're all 75, and then you don't get as many calls the next day, you're going to make out all right. But it's when you only get one call a week, then financially, your finances kind of dip a bit because it also depends on where you're renting or what bills you have to pay, or utilities, house payments, car payments, any other bills and fees. And it's not easy running a business. You got to keep that in mind. But one last thing before we sign off for the evening. When it comes to customer service, don't take it out on your customers. Don't talk about your problems if you have any. Just tell them you're great and you're fine and you're just excited to be alive. But don't give them the sarcasm either. You can't be sarcastic with them. You can't be negative with them. You gotta be positive. Because if you get negative with them, they're not gonna feel good either, and they're gonna think, "What a gloomy Gus. We'll go next door to Floppy Jack or whatever." So just keep that in mind. And most likely, actually, one other very important key to successful customer service skills and repeat customers is if they tell you they're going to be there at a certain time, you be there at a certain time. Get there like a half hour early. Don't just show up right on the time that they say to come. Go early, or if they're coming to you, be there early because sometimes they might come earlier. Because I know sometimes I got customers that you stop over, and I get there early, and they're already anxious for you to get going. So sooner you get there, the better. Or the sooner they come to you, the better. Don't come late. Don't blow them off because they'll get irritated, and they may never want to do business with you again. And the worst thing is they may talk behind your back to other people. Yeah, did you hear so and so promised he was going to be there, and there was nobody there? Well, what kind of business is that? Well, not a very effective one. Anyway, another thing you got to understand is You need to be able to keep up with the demands of the customer, because the more you can accommodate them, the better. Doesn't matter how small the job is, take it, because you don't know when your next job is coming in. That's as much as advice as I can give you on that topic. Well, I hope on that note that you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll proceed or presume this random video series back on Monday. Now, if I get time tomorrow, maybe I will upload that computer video I did earlier this week about HP Compact Pro 6000 with a Intel Pentium 2. I think it was 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz processor. So don't hold your breath on it. If I don't get to it, you'll know I got sidetracked with other work. So on that note, take care, and we'll talk to you again.